Boy, things are happening so quickly, and I think many don't fully understand what's going on. They'll feel better about events with a clearer understanding of what's unfolding before our eyes. Elon Musk started a community-based fact-checking system on his X platform called Community Notes. This creates a community of fact-checkers working together to identify potentially misleading content and provide relevant links for users to research and make informed decisions. Personally, I think it is far superior to corporate-owned fact-checkers who can be threatened, manipulated, entrapped, or paid to influence their decisions. That's how they gained control of the media. When we try to understand how our world became so corrupt, I think that we will find that people aren't necessarily inherently good or bad. We are weak, naive, or vulnerable, and we often suffer because we can be exploited. A lot of bad has happened. I don't know where the red line is when a perpetrator will be given an opportunity to do the right thing. Each day that I watch this operation, it makes me in awe of the genius of it. So this is more than Elon Musk's new fact-checking. I brought that up because Mark Zuckerberg was sent to Trump's office and is now singing a new tune. So remember Musk's new fact-checking program because we'll be talking about it again shortly. We've talked about this before, but we should also have a quick review of the big picture. We know that we are in an unconventional war of wit. This war is the biblical war between good and evil. We are engaged in the biblical cleansing by fire right now. The bad side, which serves the darker Lucifer, seeks to control and exploit us, and while they apparently have some rules about consent, they are hidden and unfair. They operate from very deceptive tactics, including blackmail both in and out of war. Blackmail is a criminal offense in which they force compliance by fear or exposure. The good side, on the other hand, is the opposite. They are selfless and want to empower us rather than exploit us. They promise to be transparent and work for the greater good. They use legal and ethical pressure to gain cooperation without the use of threats. Whitemail is a little-known term used in business negotiations. It is legal, strategic, and involves incentives and agreements to gain cooperation through offers or deals. So where do you think this strategy came from, guys? Are you beginning to understand Trump's role and how good he is at what he is doing? We are watching the art of the deal on a worldwide stage. Capitulation is the act of surrendering or yielding to demands. It often occurs after a prolonged struggle and means that they have stopped resisting. It's used in corporate and financial deals to avoid a more unfavorable outcome. Whitemail is a legal strategy where someone avoids a hostile takeover by offering incentives or negotiating terms favorable to the other party. It appears that it can also be used to avoid war, and Trump knew it. So let's look at the timeline of some recent events that are happening very rapidly since the certification of the presidential election. January 6, 2025 will become one of the most pivotal days in our history. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what is going down. I'll leave links in the description for your research and tell me what you think. There has been a parade of deep state assets that have been called to the principal's office, but we will be discussing 4 of the most notable today. I think we can expect many more over the coming days as deadlines become shorter, and we will be examining them, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Share, like, and shop. And if you want to financially support the channel, you can leave a super thanks under the 3 dots below the video. And we begin with the first of these capitulations. It's no secret that MSNBC has been one of the most blatantly biased news stations against Trump, and they have already suffered through rating drops. But co-hosts of MSNBC's Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, publicly visited Donald Trump after he was elected on the weekend of November 16, 2024, at the request of Scarborough. Like so many media channels, they had Trump on their show many times and initially revered him for president. Then, something happened, and Morning Joe turned into a total smear campaign of biased misinformation both before and after Trump was elected. On the following Monday, the couple announced on their show that they went to Mar-a-Lago to restart communications and set a new approach ahead of his second term. This may seem plausible to some, but there's a much different reason for this total eclipse in their thinking. They slander and libel this guy for 8 years, and now they want to play nice because they had an epiphany. It goes deeper, guys. Trump gave them an opportunity. We may never know what it is, and we may never see these people face the public justice that some of us want. MSNBC has just made pay cuts to Joy Reid and Stephanie Ruhle and Rachel Maddow previously. So perhaps they were spokespersons for the station, or maybe they made a deal on their own, but you can bet they made a deal. There may continue to be some strategic bias for optics, but the deal has been made. We must become informed, examine the information, and always ask why. The official gesture of overt capitulation, of course, was January 6th, when Kamala Harris certified the 2024 election. There were numerous reports that Mike Johnson would not be appointed Speaker of the House in an attempt by Democrats to stop the certification. Well, Johnson was appointed and apparently nobody attempted to stop it, so somebody decided to avoid a more unfavorable outcome and certify the election. Since then, 2 more huge fish went to see the principal. The next capitulation occurred by Justin Trudeau shortly after the election certification on January 6th. It looks like Trudeau wasn't going to take the deal until he was sure that Trump was confirmed president. It started on November 29, 2024, when Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump for dinner. This was not an intimate dinner. It was a lavish affair that occurred shortly after Trump announced massive tariff hikes on goods from Canada and Mexico. Afterwards, Trump categorized their meeting as highly productive, while Trudeau said they had an excellent conversation. Then Trump was all over the media with his offer and recommendation that Trudeau should consider making Canada the 51st state. It's amazing to watch this man at work. Every word or phrase has a purpose, and I think that the whole 51st state thing was likely a psyop at this point, but who knows? Trump later clarified that the U.S. has massive deficits, and we are subsidizing nearly $250 billion to Canada. He said that we buy 20% of our cars from them when it would help our own country to make them in the U.S. The same is true for lumber and oil. We also provide military protection to Canada. Trudeau said that additional tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, and that's when Trump's joke about Canada becoming the 51st state happened. Brilliantly, he used the media to give him the opportunity to make a point, which is that right now, only Canada is benefiting from our relationship, and we are supporting them financially like we support our own states. He further said that such a union would make life better with lower taxes, immigration enforcement, and so many other benefits. What are your thoughts? Putting aside ego, what would be best for both countries in this scenario? Then shortly after the election certification, Justin Trudeau announced that he would be stepping down from his long-term position as Prime Minister. There was the capitulation. I don't know, but I would be surprised if Trudeau was even given the option to become the 51st state and stay in any position of government. Many report that Justin Trudeau is deeply entrenched by the deep state, and everybody knows it. There have been some very bad allegations that, if true, could preclude any offers to him, other than to completely abdicate. Personally, I think this was a deal to save his legacy. Minutes ago, Trump elaborated on his suggestion that Canada should join the Union. He reiterated that we are paying Canada over $200 billion a year with our military at their disposal, and that they should be a state, saying he asked Trudeau in West Palm Beach, what would happen to Canada if we didn't give them the support? This is when Trudeau said Canada couldn't exist. So they are in a very vulnerable position, being so dependent on the U.S., and that's not good for Canada either. Trump said that we have a $350 billion trade deficit with the European Union, and they don't buy anything from us. So it's nothing personal against Canada. It's business. It appears that Trump is saying that he will not be taking over any country through military force. If they want to be independent, that's fine. But they are going to have to be independent. We have our own financial problems, and we can't take care of theirs. Makes sense to me. So Trudeau had a lot to think about, and it looks like he felt it was above his pay grade. The next capitulation came from Mark Zuckerberg on January 7, 2025, when he made a huge announcement about his Meta platform and censorship. Meta is a monster platform that controls Facebook and Instagram and has a stronghold in the social media audience. It's become too complicated to even deal with from a business standpoint and is one of the most insecure of the platforms, in my opinion. It started years ago with congressional hearings on social media platforms. He testified more than once and was met with questions like, "Would you give us the name of the hotel that you stayed in last night and all of the email and messages of the people that you've spoken to in the last day?" Zuckerberg was taken back by the analogy to Facebook and Instagram's data collection practices and refused as if he was above his information being disclosed. Zuckerberg voluntarily appeared for testimony and was generally cooperative. He was very resistant to make any kind of commitments at the time, but it looks like Trump's election confirmation has changed his mind. In August 2024, Zuckerberg sent a letter to the House Judiciary Committee in response to its investigation into content moderation by social media platforms. He said that he was pressured by the Biden administration to suppress information about COVID-19, including humor and satire. Then, on November 27th, the night before Thanksgiving, Trump had dinner with Mark Zuckerberg. Trump never stops, but I would certainly rather have a president who even works while he eats than one who spent over 300 days on vacation. That's nearly a year out of his 4 years. I don't understand how anyone can condone that unless they have a sense of entitlement that they shouldn't have to work. Let's get back to actually doing the jobs that we have been employed to do with pride and satisfaction. Anyway, Zuckerberg met Trump at Mar-a-Lago on the 27th. Apparently, Trump invited him, according to Zuckerberg's representative, who said that Zuckerberg was grateful for the invitation to join President Trump for dinner and meet with members of his team. So Zuckerberg's capitulation has taken years of congressional testimonies and negotiations. But it looks like whatever Zuckerberg did may have not crossed the line, and he will be given the opportunity to provide a free speech platform. Personally, his holding out until after the election certification makes me think that he can be bought. It gives the appearance that he was holding out, hoping that the deep state would stop the transfer of power, but they didn't, so he decided to do the right thing. So this is what's going on, guys. Deals abound, and so do change of hearts by those controlled by the deep state. We never know everything going on behind closed doors, and I'm not sure how much is necessary. For me, if the people are gaining freedom and prosperity back, I understand that some negotiations are better done in private, and some negotiations might require privacy to make the deal happen. So now we have moved on to the biblical fires in Hollywood and more transformative events meant to rid the earth of corruption and bring about renewal or enlightenment. Hang on to your seats, guys, because I never dreamed the speed at which things would happen once the alliance had everything in place. Remember, victory is not the absence of evil, but the triumph of good over it. So do your part. I love you.